and thanks for tuning into the video on irishracing.com. Formscan again in association with Boyle Sports, and I'm joined again to preview day 3 by Gavin Lynch. Gavin, we're recording this 11 a.m. on the Wednesday morning. We've got Tuesday's results now. How do you think day 1 has fared so far? It's, I suppose, Irish domination all around.
Yeah, it is Willie Mullins' domination, and obviously not good for Nicky to have, 4 horses pulled up. He's taken out Shishkin out of the Gold Cup, and he's taken John Bunn out of the Champion Chase. So, it's a funny sort of a festival so far. It didn't look to be an amazing atmosphere yesterday. I was talking to a couple of people that were there, and they said it was a little bit subdued compared to normal. Willie's domination, the ground was heavy, the time was slow, the cross country's off today. So it's a mixed bag, but yeah, Willie's are absolutely on fire, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I thought Henry's horses and Gordon's, even Gordon's in defeat, were running well as well, which is, I suppose, a plus for his more fancied ones coming in later on in the week. And one of them today we'll probably talk about later on, Fighter Days Ahead, he's very keen on. But losing the cross country is a massive loss to the festival, I thought. Pity they couldn't get it back on the Friday. I think the ground is drying slightly in Cheltenham. They haven't had too much rain since. I was talking to someone this morning and said it was a small bit dead out there. So a little bit different today. Probably wasn't as heavy as they expected, I'd say, on day 1. Even Joseph's winner of the Boodles yesterday, I think they were thinking of pulling him out, but said it probably wasn't as soft as expected. So we'll drive straight into Thursday's racing anyway. And the first race we will chat about is the Turner's Novice Chase. I suppose a rarity across the week. We've got an English trained favourite of a Grade 1 in the shape of Grey Dawning for the Dan Skelton stable. A lot of confidence around him. Facile Vega in there as well, the choice of Paul Town in 11-4, and Ginny's Destiny for Paul Nichols and Harry Cobden is 7-2. Gavin, I suppose to start off, that English form, how strongly do you rate it? Aroko as well for the Greenhall team, I suppose, coming back from last year's Martin Pipe. He was missing for a long time during the season, but got to the festival. Another one in there with a good chance.
Yeah, it's you're not totally convinced by the English form because it's not Grade 1 form yet. It possibly could be by Thursday. Facile Vega's running the Irish Arkle, I suppose, found a 50, and Ilete Tomp ran fine on the Arkles. That form was very, very solid. Ginny's Destiny might get a solo here for Harry Cobden, and he's one of the great sights in racing is him on a front runner in a chase. As we said, is a great form, Grade 1 form? Possibly it is. I'd imagine Grey Dawning might turn it around with Ginny's Destiny from the time they met 2 runs ago. He made a dreadful mistake 2 out, and perhaps a fast run race might suit Harry Skelton to arrive at the second last. Aroko was very, very good, and Warwick only had the 1 chase start. He jumped brilliant that day. The Martin Pipe winner, he'd also have a chance. So it's very, very open. I'd imagine if Willie has 3 or 4 more winners today, Wednesday, that there'll be a lot of money for Facile Vega, and I'm fairly sure that'll go off favourite, and it'll run a big race. First time stepping up in trip, will love soft ground as he showed in the bumper last year, and he might do his mum proud stepping up to the sort of trip that she won at.
Yeah, they're actually showing replays of all the old races at Cheltenham before racing on Racing TV, and I just watched Vega's last win in the Mayor's Hurdle, and yeah, to see him do it. We saw Annie Power's son win what a massive race in the Supreme. I'm really strong on Facile Vega here, to be honest. It's probably Willie was so keen to keep him at 2 miles, but stepping up to the 2.5 should really play in his favour. Like you said, that form in the Irish Arkle last time, solid enough. Looking at the runs of Ilete Thompson, found a 50 yesterday, and Willie's horses are on fire. So I'm really keen on Facile Vega here, and I think he could be another nice one for the Mullen stable. But we'll have a look at the 2:10 then, which is the Pertemps, a much more open race. I suppose the Irish have dominated this. They've had a fair stranglehold on. I think they've won 7 of the last 8 renewals of the Pertemps. And Gordon Elliott's Cletus Poulard has been well found in the market here. He's gotten a few pounds from the BHA handicap, but there seems to be confidence around him here. And one who I like is Gabby's Cross for Henry de Bromhead and Darrow O'Keefe. I thought he was eye-catching when qualifying for the run for this race back in Punchestown. But Gavin, any fancies in here for you?
Well, I suppose Cletus Poulard did well to get within 25 lengths of Ballyburn. But then subsequently ran in the qualifier in Ace, finished second off 130, runs here off 139, which is a fair step up. The bad news is, Emma, I also like Gabby's Cross. The jockey bookings are interesting. I see where Rachel is riding Popova, who finished behind it at Punchestown that day. So presumably they're just being nice and giving Dara one of the better rides for the week. Look at Gabby's Cross. The twice that it was a decent chase. It was only beaten 4 lengths in the Paddy Power of 143. His 2 runs over hurdles against Buddy One and Jody Ted, that was a very, very difficult task. Both of them are much, much higher now. They're both about a stone higher over hurdles. So virtually impossible task. I think he's got an each way chance, but it's a very, very open race. I'm sure they're going to go 6-7 to 1 the field. It's not the strongest per temps I've ever seen. Cuthbert Dibble would love the soft ground. Gaith Cool might prefer it a bit better. Lots in with chances, but maybe small each way selection, Gabby's Cross.
Yeah, Gay Cool is a strong stayer, and Shane O'Callaghan taking a good £5 off there for Ted Walsh. I heard Ruby giving her a good shout as well in the previous circuits. But Dara seemed very keen on Gabby's Cross. I've heard him talking about the Henry de Bromhead's winner, and like you said, I'd imagine it's just the case of giving Dara the better ride. Obviously got £6, I think, from the BHA handicapper, but just based on his peak chase rating, he still might be a little bit well in there, and he might actually be better over hurdles than fences, arguably, considering the way he jumped fences. He wasn't, I suppose, the most natural in that sphere. So I like him at 10 to 1. I think he's a good each way bet in there. So we'll agree on that one. But we'll go on to the next race then anyway, which is the Ryanair Chase. No Allo in here makes this a much more open-looking renewal, but there is confidence around last year's winner, Envoy Allen, for the Henry de Bromhead team. 9 to 2 there with Rachel Blackmore on board. Banbridge was a favourite for this for a long time, but I suppose the ground is making him drift out slightly. He's gone to 5 to 1. Jack Kennedy Shoes is conflated for Gordon Elliott, ahead of my fancy, actually, who was Phil Dorr. But Gavin, who are you with in this one?
First thing to say is that I think there's going to be a lot of pace in the race. Connections of High Senior have said that they're going to make the running, as you'd expect. Stage Star will be up there, so conflated. So on the basis that they're going to go good gallop, I'm going to go for Capodanno each way at 7 to 1. Some of the bookmakers are going 3 places, some are going 4. So shop around if you can. But Capodanno won the Cotswold Chase the last day over 3 miles. I don't think the step down and trip is going to be a massive problem, particularly if they go very, very quick on the bad ground. His jumping is okay. It's not amazing, but it's fine. I thought he won very well the last day. He had a good run at Christmas. So I think 7-1 is very, very fair. Obviously, the ground is a huge issue for Banbridge. The better the ground, the better his chance. That's not going to happen. Joseph was interviewed yesterday after he won the Boodles to say that the plan is to run Banbridge. So perhaps he will run, but I think he'll drift a lot. I think Envoy Allen has a massive chance, even though he's a 10-year-old. I think he's the main danger. So I'd be either Envoy Allen or Capodanno.
Yeah, Capodanno was good when winning in Cheltenham, and he got a good shout from Brian Hayes in our preview last week as well. Interesting. I think the word is that the chase course might actually be riding a little bit worse than the hurdles course, well, which would be another negative towards Banbridge. So hopefully he can run and take his chance, and it might dry out slightly before Thursday. But I actually quite like the chances of Phil Dorr in here, especially each way at around 12 to 1. I suppose he had kind of a messy campaign over fences last year. In his novice season, they abandoned it and went hurdling again. But I thought coming back this year, he had 2 very good runs over 2 miles behind Dino Blue and El Fabiolo in the Hillyway Chase most recently. Haven't seen him in a little while, but I just think those runs over the 2 miles will stand to his jumping, which probably was the question about him last year. Jack Kennedy doesn't ride, which is a little bit of a worry, but Keith Donoghue is a more than able deputy, and I think 12 to 1, I would like the chances of him. I actually tipped Ahoy Senior in a preview a few weeks ago, but he's been well found in the market since. I think he was 25 to 1 at the time. He's gone into 11 to 1, which might put me off his chances slightly. But he's gone into 11 to 1 now, so he looks plenty short there, but I think they're going to ride him aggressively, and Lucinda Russell seems to be giving him a good shout as well. But we'll have a look at the Stayers then. Tiupu, I suppose, was looking like a banker for people in this race last year. He comes back to try it again this time, and he's 7 to 4. The rain falling will aid his chances massively. You'd imagine it'd be perfect conditions for him. I was probably a little bit disappointed he didn't go through and win his race last year. I thought he was probably there with every chance, but coming back here, I find him a little bit hard to oppose. Noble Yates in there, another one with a great each way chance, I think, for Emmett Mullins. Has got the cheek pieces back on. But Gavin, who are you fancying in the Stayers Hurdle?
Yeah, I suppose the best place to start with the Stayers, Emma, is the favourite to you, who I backed him last year. I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. To get beaten by a 10-year-old Dashel Drasher and an 11-year-old Sire de Burley wasn't the best. He did get shuffled about in the last furlong or two. Those horses crisscrossing each other. Davy Russell was a little bit unlucky, but at the same time, I don't think it was a crash hot performance. He will absolutely love the ground. The softer, the better. Gordon has done something different this year. He decided not to go to the Galmoy hurdle in Gorham Park to keep him fresh. After a 50-day break, he's 8 from 8 to Upu, so he goes really well fresh and he'll get his ground. So yeah, he's got a massive chance. Just 7 to 4 to me is a little bit tight. Crambo is also a 7-year-old. He's open to improvement, but he'll have to improve from the run in Ascot, where he beat Paisley Park. Paisley Park has run 3 crackers this season, has been beaten in 3 photo finishes, so fair play to him at the age of 12. Flooring Porter possibly could get a solo. He's won this race twice, as we know. Last year, Gavin said that he had an interrupted prep. He's been over fences this season, which is not ideal, but he says that he's a horse that'll cope with switching back to hurdles. Keith Dunner, who takes over this year instead of Danny Mullins. If he gets a solo, he'll run a big race. I just think because Willie Mullins are all in amazing form, I think Sir Gerhard is worth a tiny bet each way at 8-1. Paul Townend rides. The fences didn't work for him. He won well at Punchestown on New Year's Eve, over 2.5. Will he stay the 3 miles? Possibly he won't. He did win at Ballymore a few seasons back. He's a 9-year-old. A tentative selection would be Sir Gerhard each way.
Yeah, he has to have his chance here, especially the form the Mullins yard are in, but I kind of find it hard to oppose Tupu too strongly, but I do give Noble Yates a big chance for Emmett Mullins. Obviously, Emmett has only had 1 winner so far this week, but he was a runaway winner in the National Hunt Chase. He's going to stay all day, and I definitely see him in the first 3, if not better. And one more, I'd give a little shout to each way, maybe Buddy 1, 20-1 now. I just thought he was so good in last year's Martin Pipe. Maybe, if he hadn't run around the track so much, he might have even been a little bit closer to Oak or the winner. Obviously, Axe around Cheltenham was disappointing last time, but I think they found a problem with him when he was pulled up behind Irish Point. And vibes seem to be kind of strong around him. So at 20-1, I give him a small shout each way as well. But we'll go on to the 4:10 then. The plate. Krabilly, I suppose, has been well found in the market here for John Joe O'Neill. He's got some strong form there behind horses like Jenny's Destiny, who are competing in Grade 1 races. Has to come in here with a big shout, but there's plenty in there you can make strong cases for. Gavin, did you have a fancy in the plate?
Look, at Krabilly has very, very solid form, linked in with Jenny's Destiny, etc. Gets in here off 140. Wasn't knocked about in Exeter until Jockey only got serious after the last fence the last day. So he's favourite, and rightly so. Theatre Man bombed up the hill the last day, has been tried over further, but I think this is the right trip for him. Again, linked in with Ginny's Destiny. There's plenty of Ginny's Destiny form in this race, that's for sure. Another horse worth mentioning is Shake Up Harry, owned by Harry Redknapp, trained by Ben Pauling. Ben Pauling's horse is in great form. He's only £3 higher. He was due to run off 139, but he ran off 140 New Year's Day when Stage Star ran bad enough. He runs here off 143, only £3 higher. So he'd have to have a strong each way chance for Ben Jones. St. Felician for Gordon Elliott would have a squeak. But I'd say I backed Krabilly a while ago. I think his price has gone a little bit short at 7-2, but I could see Peter Man is probably better value each way now at 4 or 5-1.
Yeah, two English runners in there with a good shout, and Teeterman was the selection of Don McLean on our preview last week as well. I like the 2 Gordon Elliott ones in here, like you mentioned, St. Felician there. He's bumped into a few decent types in his chase start so far. He disappointed in the Coral Cup, I think it was last year, but that was only his 2nd start for Gordon Elliott. Unexposed over fences, I think he beat that Ami Deji in Goran last time, and that form was boosted well at the weekend. He went out and won for Willie Mullins again. Another one I liked for Gordon then was Rian. I just thought he ran a nice race there behind Hartwood in that Grade 3 handicap at the Dublin Racing Festival. Maybe a slight concern Jack Kenny doesn't choose him, but Danny Gilligan is definitely not he's a good deputy. I'll say he's a very good £3 claimer. And one more, I think, of just slight interest, Arctic Brazil from the Henry de Bromhead Yard. Henry's horses are running well. He had a good winner of the Supreme and 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the Mayor's Hurdle on the first day. Interesting that Rachel Blackmore did choose him. I think he had a big enough reputation as a novice hurdler, cost a fair bit of money from the point-to-point scene, but did disappoint, I thought, last year. I'd have maybe a small bit worries about his finishing. He does seem to finish his races a little bit weak, but his form this year hasn't been too bad. He was 2nd behind the Mr. Policeman, in Punchestown last time, and Rachel choosing him might be notable. Wouldn't be surprised to see him run a nice race as well for the Bromhead team. He does very well at Cheltenham. So we'll go on to the next race, and the Mayor's Hurdle, which I think is probably one of the races of the week. The vibes behind this Brighter Days Ahead makes her very, very hard to oppose, but Jay de Grugy has been so impressive on all starts so far for Willie Mullins as well. And of course, you throw in the Fergal O'Brien runner, then Dykestar Enos, who's getting the £5. She doesn't have that £5 penalty, hasn't won the graded race, which makes it a really fascinating renewal. Gavin, are you buying into these vibes coming from so strongly from Gordon?
Yeah, I've liked Brighter Days Ahead for quite a while. I wasn't overly gone her after her debut over hurdles at Thurles. She jumped out to her left. Didn't jump brilliant. She came back to Down Royal and she jumped really well. Bar one mistake maybe early on at the second, but she did jump well that day. She won in a fast time, a quicker time actually than Irish Point. And her next run there in Nagle, the next that Gordon could find for her, it was over 2.5, but she has gears. She jumps well. Yeah, I think she's one of the best of the day. She's no wild price. Every year there's a couple of horses that get a lot of attention at the preview nights. Last year it was probably Imperial Pass, and this year it seems to be Brighter Days Ahead. She was kind of like 3-1 there a couple of weeks ago, and now she's 7-4. But they seem very, very bullish. They think that maybe, she's a better novice than even Firefox. So he was quite unlucky in the Supreme. He could have been a much closer third in that. Gordon's horse running well. Yeah, I think she's maybe the bet of the day. Jade de Grugy was very good at Christmas over 2.5. The next time in the Solarino over 2.2. You could possibly find a small fault in that the form was let down at the weekend with a penny 100, but maybe that's nothing to worry about. I'd say she'll be up in the van. She definitely stays further. Dysart Enos, plenty of gears. She's unbeaten. She was very good in the entry bumper. She's ran in 3 ordinary races this season. That's fully intentional for Fergal O'Brien, just to not have the £5 penalty. So she gets the £5 off the other 2, but I think she's got a massive task in her hands. And I'd be very, very strong on Brighter Days Ahead.
Yeah, Brighter Days. It's kind of hard to get away from that. I think Gordon's saying she could be one of the best horses he's ever had, and he doesn't come out with those kind of statements too often. I think he said it about the likes of Envoy Allen and Don Kasek and Sam Crow and horses of that ilk. So, I mean, if she performs to that level of ability they think she has, she'll be really, really hard to beat. Could be a big day for Fergal O'Brien as well. Of course, he's bidding for his first Cheltenham Festival winner, Dysart Enos and Crambo, but I find it hard to get away from the 2 Irish mares here, and kind of hard not to be drawn into that hype around Brighter Days Ahead from the LA team. She's been so impressive on all starts as well. So I probably won't be having much of a bet in that, but I'd probably slightly favour the Elliott mare as well, just because of all the word coming from her from the stable. But we'll talk about the last race then, the Kim Muir Amateur Jockeys Race, of course. Angel's Dawn, last year's winner, comes back here off about £10 higher, I think, but plenty in there. Gordon Elliott likes to target this race as well, and he's got a really good jockey booking on a cool survivor, Harry Swan, a young up-and-coming amateur. He's very, very good. But Gavin, do you get involved in the Kim Muir? It can be a tricky one.
Yes. I was just very surprised that I know the way you're thinking got into this race. It has an Irish rating of 143. And if you go back and look at its run in Limerick, it was third to Gaelic Warrior and just a length and a half behind LA Tétomp. They were first and third in the Arkle yesterday. I think this horse has a massive chance. Like, I know it's carrying top weight, but it's got the best amateur in the race in Derek O'Connor. And if you go through the brothers and sisters in the family, Spades or Trumps won the Ulster National over 3.5. I like the way you're thinking. Walk Me Home and Limerick Lace have all got good form over 3 miles. So I'm very, very hopeful that he'll stay. I'll be watching this race through my fingers, hoping that I know the way you're thinking wins. 2 others to mention is Bout to Greatness for Ben Pauling. His horses we've mentioned earlier in great form. His last run in Kempton, he jumped a little bit to his left at some of the fences, so he'd be better going this way around. I think Whacker Clan has got a great chance of 131. He won a handicap chase in Cheltenham back in October where he beat Twig, and Twig ran a blinder yesterday in the Ultima. The first 3 were clear in the Ultima and Twig was second. Whacker Clan won that off 125, in here off 131, had a spin over hurdles only a couple of weeks ago over 2 miles at Nace. That was only just to give him an eye-opener. John Gleeson, as I said, rides. Ground could possibly be a little bit too soft for Whacker Clan, but I think he's got a great each-way shout. He'll be up in the van the whole way. And last one to mention actually is Chavez, ridden by Patrick. Hasn't been over this trip at all, but running over 2 miles, etc. His jumping was put under a lot of pressure. And he fell the last day when running a big race. He was there at the last. So Chavez may be the big price. But yeah, I'm hoping for, I know the way you're thinking.
Very good, yeah. And Derek was so good. On day 1 aboard Corbett's Cross, he'll be hoping to make it a double on the week in the JP McManus colours. I'd probably take a small chance at Angel's Dawn each way. I just thought her run in the Chai last time might have been maybe even her best run yet. She's up a lot of weight since last year, but we know she stays the trip. She's a very strong traveller. and a good amateur on board in packing, which is always a good help in this race. And on 8 to 1, I think she's a decent each way, but I can't see her being too far away at least. But I know the way you're thinking from the Gavin Cromwell yard looks a very worthy favourite in there. But before we wrap up day 3, Gavin, I'll ask you for your nap and your next best on the day.
I might give you 2 next best, if that's okay, Emma.
That's no worries.
I'm going to go for Capodanno each way at 7 to 1. I know the way you're thinking is each way at 4 to 1, 5 places. And the bet of the day, I think, is Brighter Days Ahead around 7 to 4. And
Very
yourself?
good. Strong confidence around Brighter Days Ahead. I will go for Facile Vega in the Turners. I'm really keen on his chances, to be honest. I think the step up to 2.5 miles could be the making of him, and he might be a little bit of a cliff horse for me now, but I'm hoping he can get it done on the big stage. And my next best actually might be Gabby's Cross in the Pertemps. I think he's kind of one I've been fancying for a small while. Look, he's been, I suppose, found enough in the market now at around 10 to 1, but I could see him running a big race, so I think 10 to 1 is a good each way price for him. But thanks very much for coming on again, Gavin. We'll be back again tomorrow to preview the last day at Cheltenham. Hopefully find a couple more winners for you, and if you're going to have a bet over the week, make sure to gamble responsibly and tune into tomorrow's video as well.
Thanks, Emma.